And my saying has always been, how do you corporatize a family company without killing it?
I don't think you can go back. I don't think you can have regrets. I think
that's what I said before.
no regrets.
Think forward.
Yeah,
You have
always
to.
look forward.
Otherwise, you'll end up in a mess. Like saying I've got 35 years experience, and facetiously I say, is that 1 year 30 times over?
When you're running as a CEO or executive officer or an MD, it's about the people. You don't have to have the technical smarts. You just make sure you have those smart people around you.
Business is about people doing business with people.
Yeah.
And never forget it.
You're listening to Beyond Growth with Rayan Fernando.
Bill and Mark,
Yeah.
welcome to the podcast. It's exciting to have you both here and finding out a little bit more about what you two do, and also just turn the tables on the conversation. So obviously 250 plus conversations you've both had over the years and how valuable those conversations are. And finally I get to get you two here and learn a little bit about you and hopefully teach the listeners a little bit about what you've learned along the way. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's I guess and you contacted us because of our podcast, which we are heading towards 250. But we started that out of interest during COVID, or I started because I had nothing to do and I'd lost 3 contracts in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
And, just what do you do? Oh, let's have a think about a podcast. And one thing led to another, and here we are. And we've got one out today, of course, Mark, haven't we?
We do.
But we've also been watching your podcasts as well, Ryan. It's good to see that you're getting some good people on yours to interview. And as we keep saying, ours is all about storytelling.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
And
we-
connections.
And we don't have a script, and we just run through a person's life and where they are today. But we also try and ensure we get a lesson out of it at the end of it.
Yeah.
That other people can take on board.
Absolutely. And that's that's the power of the conversation, isn't
That's
it?
right. Yeah. And we keep talking about tipping points,
Yeah.
Mark, don't we? And
do.
you call
Sliding
it
door moments.
Sliding doors.
Oh, I've had so many of those as well.
Yeah, and nobody. I doubt that we've ever interviewed anyone that has done the one thing in their life. The one.
No.
in reality,
Not that I can think about, no.
That's right. So anyway, here we are today
No,
on the other side of the fence.
it's good. And look, let's let the listeners know who you are. So I think we said age before beauty before we were just
Sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
So Bill, would you like to?
Well, I didn't put any makeup on this morning.
You didn't know you were going to get videoed.
No, I spent an hour in the gym, so at least I had a shower afterwards.
No,
So that's it.
Appreciate it.
No, well, begin with the end in mind. Well, let's start at the end. Today, I have a reputation as being a family business consultant, and currently sit on 3 family business boards, none of which are in our region. They're in outer regional areas, and they're from a diverse range of businesses. And it's something that I am passionate about because I was brought up in a family business. The board table was our kitchen table in those days.
Yeah.
And when I finished school, it was interesting. I'd been offered an internship to England for the engineering company because my father was buying equipment from England, and the Vietnam War was on, and I couldn't get a passport because in those days I was of an age group where your birth date was drawn out of a barrel, and if your number came out, your birth date came out, you went off into the army. Mine didn't, and I remember I had to get permission from Canberra to get a passport and go overseas, and I went overseas and did an internship for 2.5 years in engineering companies that made bottling, brewing and soft drink machinery.
Yeah, wow.
Came back and didn't know what to do. Tried working for my father. That didn't work out. We were about to kill each other at one stage. So I said to my mother, I think I better leave. And went off and started my own business. Had that for 15 years and sold it to a multinational, or a listed company, I should say. And that led me, I was there for under contract for a year. They owned a pet food business. I was the marketing director of that company, working mainly in Asia. And at the end of that contract, I went and joined Cadbury Schweppes and ran one of their companies here in Australia. When that contract, the day I paid my final school fee, I walked in and walked out. And then I've been doing some work in the franchise industry, but I was always interested in family companies because I knew that if what I'd learned in corporate, if we had some of those disciplines in our family business, and more importantly, if I had them in my own business, then I think, would there be a different result? Yes, I would have operated, I would suspect, with less stress.
Yeah.
And with better system. So that was my passion, to get into family companies. And my saying has always been, how do you corporatize a family company without killing it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want too many controls. You don't want too many rules and regulations, although the governments are forcing you to do that these days. And it's been a really interesting journey. And I couldn't tell you how many family companies I've actually touched over the years. And one day I'm going to write the book, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. But right now, I'm fully focused on these 3 boards that I'm on, and they are 3 great businesses, all with their usual difficulties in our economy at the moment.
Yeah.
And once again, as far as board meetings go, I try and run a board meeting more on the basis that it's all about strategy, it's all about the future, and not about sheets of reports and hundreds of pages, and Mark knows that better than I do, sitting on a government board. I want it simple, I want it plain, but I want it about the future.
Execution.
Yeah. So that's where I am today.
And he undersells himself, Ryan, because he has had an impact on lots of family businesses and lots of people that seek advice. Bill's name pops up quite regularly. So
and I enjoy it.
That's awesome.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of Peter Drucker, the famous, you're right?
Yeah.
He retired at 94. I'm 80. I've got 14 years to go. There you go. Right.
Why put a limit? Why put a limit on it, Bill?
Yeah, and outside of that, of course, I'm involved in some not-for-profits, just from a volunteer point of view. Heavily involved in rowing at the moment on the Barwon River, but we didn't go this morning. If you look outside the window behind you there, you'll see why. And
it's cold and we're inside.
That's right. And I've become I'm reliving my own kids' lives again, because I'm now chasing grandkids around sporting venues, as I was last night at Sacred Heart at 7 o'clock watching my granddaughter play basketball. Right.
That's amazing. I mean, look, a lot we can go back and touch on, but I think, one thing that I remember growing up as a kid, just the feeling and the thoughts of being that conscription days, like that would have been like so dramatic, not dramatic, but so I guess stressful as a young man, right? Like going, when are they going to pick?
Yeah, it was the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Now we knew at school it was coming, because I was an officer in the school Army Corps. And we were told then, when I was at school, that at some stage in the future, you will be faced with this challenge. Yeah. And for those that went, and my mates that went, some survived it quite well, but a lot didn't, unfortunately.
Even if they came back, they weren't.
Yeah, it was always in the back of your mind, will I be going or won't I?
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's past history now, and we don't wish that upon anybody anymore.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. Thank you, Bill. Mark, your turn, mate. Give us the
encapsulated story.
Yes, don't undersell yourself.
So my background's been retail.
Okay.
I'd probably put that down to my grandfather on my mum's side ran his own shop, and then got into during the Second World War into commercial food provisions and essential services in those days in providing food. So I've always had that in the back of my head. I actually applied to join the Royal Australian Navy, passed all the fitness and all the rest of it, but I didn't score high enough in the maths part of the exam, and I hate maths, always have hated maths. So I remember sitting on a train thinking, now what am I going to do? And so I ended up looking for work and applied, finished a degree at uni to do teaching. didn't want to do teaching. And that was in the days when the government paid for you to go to university and you got a stipend to attend. So that was good fun.
Yes.
As my sons and daughter keep telling me, boomer, you had it easy. And then I just sat and applied for a number of jobs once I've decided teaching was not for me, and applied to Westfield, to Target, to another company, and got accepted as a trainee at Target. So that was the kickoff of my career. So I probably spent close to 30 years with Target and Kmart, and just worked my way up the ladder. In those days, Target was a phenomenal training organisation. Like you were well trained in everything that you did. I still remember sitting on a plane flying down to, because I was in Sydney in those days, flying down to Melbourne, and we were flown first class. So here I was as a 21-year-old sitting at the front of the, I think, Ansett planes then, flying down to Melbourne to go to the Moonee Ponds Training Centre for a 2 to 3 week training program. And I remember sitting next to me was John Elliott. So, what do you do? So, but fantastic training.
Yeah.
So, I know, in fact, I caught up with a couple of colleagues of mine from Target that I hadn't seen for quite a few years on last Friday. And we talked about the things that we were taught that still are instilled in us in what we do. It's quite interesting. Anyway, so worked my way through Target, left there. In my last role at Target, I was the general manager of merchandise for the hard goods side of the business, and then went across to Kmart to work with the ex-MD of Target that had moved to Kmart. Worked with Kmart, and funnily enough, in those days, my role was to wind down Kmart and combine Kmart stores into Coles stores. Because Target was the legend.
Yep.
Come to today, and it's a different story. So that's interesting. And then I decided I'd had enough of driving up the Geelong Road, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night.
Wow, yeah.
Leaving when the kids were asleep, coming back when the kids were asleep. It was just too much. So I suggested they make me redundant, and that came up. So I happily took my package, and then ended up working in Sydney for a year.
Just a slightly longer commute.
Slightly longer. But that was good. I used to fly out of Avalon on a Sunday and fly back on a Friday.
Oh, that's
so that was good. That was with a company called ADRT, which doesn't exist anymore. They were go low, crazy prices, those chain.
Okay.
$1 billion company, killed by the GFC.
Really?
Banks pulled their funding of the equity guys that owned it. And that's the rest is history. So left that. Came back into Geelong, did some consulting. I'd always dabbled in helping businesses. The joke from my wife is, as I walk out the door, is this paid or unpaid as you head off today?
My wife does the same thing to me as well.
I think I did more unpaid than paid. And I ended up working for Keith and Barry Fagg at
awesome.
Mitre 10, which was fantastic. Loved it. That was a really nice time to work with those guys. They sold their business to Mitre 10 corporate.
Yep.
I sort of got to the point, did my stint there. So that was good. And then I left them, and then I got tapped on the shoulder by their competitor, Barwon Timber, interested to know if I'd help them buy a retail business in Drysdale, which was a home hardware brand. So did some, I think, 2 years with those guys. They were fantastic. Great family business. Again, family business.
Family business, yeah. I mean, obviously, Keith and Barry as well.
Yeah. So that and it's so cool working in a family business because, yes, it's about profit. Yes, but the people fact is stronger. They're more concerned about the people and doing the right thing by the people that work there. So I really enjoyed that. And it was great working for Bill Trengrove and Anita and Brent. They were great family. Bill, I think he was in his 70s, would ride on his push bike from Belmont up to Drysdale to come and have a coffee with me.
Wow.
Amazing, man.
That's a fair ride.
But great guy. So good family. And then in the meantime, I was dabbling in board work, slightly getting onto, not-for-profit type boards. and then finally got myself onto a couple of paid role. Tended to go down the government path, so Geelong Cemetery Trust, Western Coastal Board, and then at the moment I'm sitting on the Great Ocean Road Coast and Parks Authority, which is the biggest title ever, GORCAPA. And I also sit on the Geelong Authority, and that's been 10 years of my life, so that's slowly coming to a close. And I've just picked up working with two guys that are running a psychology business, and I'm just an advisor on their advisory board as we start to structure their organisation, a bit like Bill does, but in a bit of a smaller scale. So,
Awesome.
So that's where I am today.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what a great, both of you having such a great business journey along the way. And my thing is like, so I've known both of you now for several years just through the Geelong business community. And I always see Bill and I always see Mark. And so, and when I see Mark, I always see that just sort of, you guys have been together for so long. My question is, I never really asked you guys, like, how did you two meet? What brought the Bill and Mark show together?
Well, that's a story in itself.
Please share it.
So 14 or 15 years ago, I was running workshops for the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and I was also on their mentors panel, mentoring. If you remember, you could use the services of their mentors, and I was mentoring people in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. And the AICD came up with a concept where they would set up forums, which is a bit like the CEO Institute or the TEC, the Executive Connection, which I was also a chair of one of their groups at the time. And the AICD wanted to set one up in Geelong, and it was to be the trial to set a few more up in Melbourne. So I wandered down here. I was living in Middle Park. I wandered down here. They put out an expression of inquiry, and 12 people put their hand up. And I turned up one morning, of which Mark was one, right? And I turned up one morning into this room at the Geelong Club,
The Geelong Club. Yeah, we were at the Geelong Club.
With these 12 people, and I didn't know one of them. No idea. And the concept was a confidential forum where members of the RCD could discuss board issues in private and bring their concerns about their individual concerns. Now, so we were with the AICD for about 5 or 6 years, I think, from memory, Mark.
Might have been less.
Yeah, it could have been less. And they started changing the rules, and quite frankly, they wanted to stick their nose into some of it. And we said no, so I suggested, well, we'll just reformat as Geelong Directors Group, and we're into our 15th year.
Wow.
We meet the first Friday. We're meeting this Friday for breakfast for 2 hours. Never missed a beat. And I think there's 4 or 5 of the original contingent.
Yep.
Still in the group.
Yep.
And now we're an informal business group where we share ideas. It's really interesting in that the issues that people in the group can bring in there with confidence, knowing it's not going to go anywhere, and it ranges. Well, we started off as a board only, but it's gone beyond board now.
Yeah,
it does include some personal issues and all this, but it's just what it is. It's a safe place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, long story. That's where I first met Mark. Right.
That's true, and it's interesting because Bill chaired it for a number of years, but we never really sort of connected. But as we started to get into the Geelong Chamber, we were going there together.
Yeah.
I ended up on the board of the Chamber. The Chamber went through some change. The CEO left to do some other stuff, Bernadette. So Bill came in, and we made Bill the acting CEO for a while, just while we could find somebody, and which led to Ben coming into the organisation. And so that's how we've built our connection. And then Bill rang me a couple of years ago and said, listen, I've been doing these podcasts on my own. I'm tempting to, and they're a heap of crap.
That was my exact words.
I need to have someone. It works with two.
Yes.
So we have the conversation. So I said, okay, let's go. So I ended up doing a bit of Google searching, and we bought a gear from Amazon, and it's all transportable.
Yes. Envious of that. I'm
yeah.
very envious of that.
And then we use a Buzzsprout, which is the
distributor
of it all. Which again, if you depending on how involved you are, you pay or don't pay. And then we use a freebie mixing software, and we've self-taught. We actually got all the gear and sat with YouTube playing on how to install it and how to.
That's awesome.
YouTube's fantastic.
I know, right? Like you can learn so much now without having to leave your house. It's amazing.
So that's sort of the first one we did. I can't remember who was our very first one.
Bryony
Was, and that was when we forgot to push record.
Much like this morning.
But that's how we got started, and then we just got to know each other. And because if I go into chamber events or other events in Geelong, I drive past Bill's house because I'm out on the coast.
Yeah.
So I normally say to Bill, do you want a lift? So we end up turning up to lots of things together. And in fact, it's got to the stage where I don't know if people have done it to Bill, but people see me and go, oh, hi. Oh, where's Bill?
But Ryan, the start of the podcast, I'll just go back to that, was that I said during COVID, I'm sitting there thinking, what can I do? And I was still a board member of a company called Loverduck in those days. And so I wasn't restricted in my travel because our processing plant was in Nil. We had operations in Melbourne, and I was able to get a permit, and I could go through those stupid barriers there on Lara. You remember those? Police and everybody, army checking your vehicles. So I went to Melbourne to a recording studio and tried a podcast on my own.
Yeah.
And I played it back, and as Mark quite rightly said, I listened and I thought, that's the greatest load of crap I've ever heard. Right. And that's what prompted me to think, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm the same where for me, I need to have a guest.
Yeah.
I think and look, this all goes back to that conversation, right? How valuable those conversations are, and it's I think I love hearing that though, and sort of it's nice to hear the backstory because like you said, I often be at the chamber event and I just see the two of you walk in, and I'm like, oh, cool, they're here, and then you're like, why? And that it's good to have the why.
It's the why. Yeah.
And I think it's that bond you two have, which I think that's so powerful. I mean, if you think about it, there's especially business leaders, and they tend to find themselves alone and in a working for yourself. And some people like it, and that's good. But then the fact that you've got somebody else to lean on, I think that's in life and in business, that's just really cool.
When we sit down and we sit down, because we often record in my lounge room, and this morning we were working out the free dates that we've got together that we can actually do some podcasts. We try and do three, hopefully 4 in a day, which, as you know, would free you up for a lot of other time.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the other issue about that is that when we ring people or we talk to them, and I think I was an annoying rat at one stage when I'd go to chamber events. Hey, would you like to be on our podcast? Right?
Just recruiting on the
recruiting wherever I go.
Yeah.
But it's and we very rarely get a knockback, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So once we explain to them what it's about, we send them a copy of previous podcasts, and we tell them that it's a as you say, a conversation. No, our podcasts are casual chat.
Yeah.
But it's a casual chat about your journey. It's not about us. Yeah. It's about you.
And it's interesting. Yeah. Bill tells the story. I thought he might mention it, that people have come up to him and said, oh, hello, I'm such and such. And Bill said, I know you. I heard your voice. I know your voice.
That's happened to me a couple of times. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but but as I say, it's about the people we meet.
Yeah.
Some incredible stories. And the backstories are amazing.
And Bill's very good to going somewhere and sitting next to somebody and thinking, oh, you've got a good story. And before you know it, we've got some other candidate. So
well, we had a classic recently. I was at a lunch. I go to the Celtic Club in Melbourne. They have a monthly business lunch. sitting next to a lady one day and, sort of chatting away. And then I thought about it and I looked her up afterwards and I spoke to one of the directors at the Celtic Club. Said, "Oh, you should interview her." It turns out that in her early 20s, she was travelling through Nepal and walked across this hut and saw 3 disabled women walking into the hut. And the end result was she set up this charity for disabled women in Nepal because they're treated as outcasts.
Wow. Yeah.
Just stories you wouldn't imagine.
No.
Yeah.
That's,
She had a good story.
Yeah, that's right.
A really good story.
And I think that's like we go through life, and this is what I love to this podcast. That we go through life, and we always hear other people's stories. And we always hear, the rich and the famous, and the Musks, and all those people. How do they do what they did, and things like that. And I feel like there's so many like that one. There's so many amazing stories just in our community, right, in our business region that people have gone through a lot. And I love the fact that I can, like yourselves, just record that, take a snippet of it.
Yeah.
My most favorite one is I had one of my family members, one of my cousins, and we're pretty much like brothers. I got him on one of my early episodes, and we recorded the episode. But his kids listen to it and they love it. They're like, "Oh, Dad, you're on Spotify." What I mean? And I just, for me, it's that kind of stuff that's really powerful, because it doesn't matter. Okay, so you might be able to pick up some business because you've got a podcast and someone realizes what you do. That's great. But those things, they're the ones that are really special, where you're like, you got to sit down. Whereas the average person wouldn't be able to have that anywhere recorded and stuck in the...
Ryan, my saying is not the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Although we have done
a
Keith
few.
Fag. We've done a few Geelong usual suspects.
Well, you've got it, yeah.
But the aim is to interview people wouldn't normally hear about.
Yeah.
That's really why we mean not the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful, and I think it's good for people to tell their story.
And we haven't consciously made the decision, but we have tried to use businesses in Geelong that we call a hidden secret.
Yeah.
Try and get their story. And then out of that connection, we might, as we're chatting to them afterwards, we go, right, you should talk too.
Yeah.
And give them connection. So we've played a bit of matchmaking, haven't we, over the time, just connecting other businesses, which is helps them grow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And a good example, Mark, is we just interviewed Michael Keneally, who runs Lazarus House.
Yeah.
And he's got an amazing his family story and his life of compassion for others and looking after others. No one would know that.
Yep.
And
he's running a very important organisation in Geelong.
and they're feeding up to 100 people a day without any support and no government funding or anything. And they're operating out of the old jail in Geelong. So where else would you hear that story? And that's what we try and seek out. When we're looking at suspects, as we say.
And the lineup. And look, I think Lazarus House and what they do is incredible.
Yeah, that's right.
I think there's a common people think that, the government's helping. But the fact that they help so many people and feed so many people, and they people come in and have a warm meal, and it's funded by a lot of businesses around us in Geelong as well, right? So we're looking after our own, which is that's what actually it must have been living in Geelong now for 26 years. So that's the most beautiful thing I see. It's how much the community looks after the community, but then how much no one makes a big song and dance about it. It's we just get it done and we help. It's so good. Yeah,
Geelong's been a bit of a kicking bag for everybody, I think, over the years. Well, I left when I was 14, and didn't come back till about 8, 9 years ago. And it's totally changed. And it'll change again. But there's a lot to do. But it'll find its own place.
Yeah,
that's what it'll do.
And it has grown, though, hasn't it? I mean, if you look at the waterfront, I moved down here 32 plus years ago, and then prior to that, in my Target days, I was coming down to regular meetings down here in Geelong.
Oh yeah, because the head office
was at North Geelong.
Yeah.
So we were always looking for places to eat while we're down here for 2 or 3 nights. So Fisherman's Pier used to was a favourite because that was probably the place
Yeah.
to eat because there wasn't much else
No.
around. So that has the, I've seen all that evolve, which is why I ended up sticking my hand up and getting onto the Geelong Authority around the planning in Geelong to try and make a bit of a difference from a business connection side. And in fact, I think I've been doing Rory Costello from Villawood Properties and I have probably been working together on Central Geelong for, I think, nearly 12 years because we were on the inaugural Central Geelong Task Force set up by the City of Geelong, which was aimed at rejuvenating Central Geelong. And lots has happened. People. There's criticism of Moorabool Street. Yes, that needs to be improved, but there is lots happened, and we sometimes forget that it is moving. It's not that it's standing still.
But yeah, Ryan, there's a lot happening in business, and particularly small to medium business, outside of Central Geelong. Personally, I'm not that interested in Central Geelong. I'm interested in all those family companies that are out in North Geelong and industrial estates, through the breakwater thing. And the more that we develop those industrial estates for these smaller entrepreneurs and all the rest of it to kickstart and to move on, that's by default, that creates employment, and that's what we need all the time. But there are lots of best kept secrets in cities like us and in Ballarat. I'm involved in the business outside Ballarat, and even Colac. I've got a client down there. There's so many best kept secrets we never hear about.
Yeah.
And last year I did the judging on the Colac Business Awards, and I was amazed of the businesses I ended up judging.
The treasure shop.
Oh, there's a gentleman in Colac who was born in a hut in Africa, right, without a roof, or went to school without a roof, and by whatever means ended up in Colac and bought a gift shop. Now and if anyone ever goes down there, go and look at the Treasure Hunter in the main street, and this gentleman and his family are running the most amazing business, and he's such an entrepreneur and so vibrant. A typical story, came out here and couldn't get a job, ended up, I think, working in the AKD or someone like that in the wood yard down there and all the rest of it. But there are these best-kept secrets all over the place. They're the ones that I'd love to seek out to do the podcast with.
Yeah.
And he was really good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Yeah. He's got a great social media presence too. He does all these little
What's the Treasure Hunter?
Treasure Hunter.
Okay,
He's
cool.
worth following because he's got a young crew in his shop, and they're constantly doing like they're very good. I think he's come from nothing. He's got, I think, 3 kids,
3 or 4 kids,
3 or 4 kids, and one's being a doctor or an accountant
or
something.
He's got 2 at uni, yeah.
But he took them back to where he went to school.
Oh, wow.
To say, where you go to school and where I went to school. They are centuries apart.
And they're the stories.
They're fantastic.
Fantastic stories.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's really good.
and, I can think of just quickly another one with a ceramic lady, right? Elizabeth Bell.
Oh, wow, yes, yeah.
And
they won one of the awards last year too, yeah.
And she was walking through a village in Japan with a partner at the time and saw a pottery or whatever they want to call it, and just walked in, started a conversation, and that led her to going to England and here and there, and the next step, one step after another. And here she was last year, won a major award in the Geelong Business Awards.
Yeah.
Started in a garage and...
Yeah, and now she's in Finesford.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so...
we meet some nice people.
That's the reason we do it. Yeah, that's really
awesome. And look, I think the trying and sharing that information, and I guess coming back to Geelong as well, that was, for me, that was like my biggest, talk about sliding doors, but that literally is my biggest sliding door. And I grew up in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne for my high school years, and then I moved here following my girlfriend, now wife, to Geelong because she was coming to Deakin and I was going to Footscray, Vic Uni, and it was quicker to get from Geelong to Footscray back in the day than it was from Clayton to Footscray.
People do forget that, don't they?
Yeah, like I was on one train, I was there so quick, but man, like I owe so much of my career and where I am now to being here and the people I've worked with and met and dealt with over the years. Like it's just it's one of those towns that I always thought about. If I stayed in the southeastern suburbs, I don't know if I would have started my first business and give it a good red hot go. And Geelong has this amazing ecosystem for small business. I know when I started, but it was Yellow Pages days, so people found you very differently than now. But it is literally just, it was one of those, like, I don't think I could have done the same business in the southeastern suburbs the way I could do it here.
Talking about Yellow Pages, the other day I saw White Pages dropped at the front on the doorstep of a number of businesses
The
around
teeny
Geelong.
tiny one.
And I thought, what the hell's this? This is Back to the Future.
Back to the past.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that.
And I must admit, it still reminds me. I think I spent $12,000 for like a full page in the Yellow Pages back in the day.
Yeah, that'd be right.
And it did get me a lot of business, but man, how much times have changed. And
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember being at Fags. We spent a fortune on
Yeah.
all the different categories.
yes, you want to capture it all.
Because we sold so many
Yeah.
different things. So we had ourselves in different categories. And yeah, it's amazing. Now,
But I think now it's almost harder because like you got to be on like so many different platforms. Like even like marketing through digital marketing, it's a lot of like you've got to get that tuned in so well, as opposed to going, everyone goes to Yellow Pages, we know what we need to do. Yes, it's a lot of cash, but it's a set and forget almost to a certain degree. Whereas now it's like,
But it's interesting how that's evolved, hasn't it? Because if you're a business today without a website, you're in deep trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have a social media presence of some descript, you're in trouble.
Yes.
And if you're not getting involved in AI, you're in even more trouble.
Yes.
But that's all been in a very short period of time.
Like, I think people are like, you don't have time to take your breath as a business owner. No. And I think if you're starting now, you've got a little bit of okay, I know what I need to do. But if you've been in business for 10 plus years, it's like, okay, what do I do? What do I need to do now? There's a lot of that happening. And AI is like, that's a whole nother kettle of fish, isn't it?
It's cool. I love it though. Because I like when ChatGPT first raised its ugly head, 3 years ago? I think it was
roughly
starting to be
Yeah.
I just went in and registered and
cool.
just to have a play. I thought, I quite like this. This will be interesting to see where it goes. I've now shifted to Claude based on our friend Amir Kutab from Enterprise Monkey.
Amir is an absolute legend.
Who's moved across to Claude.
I just paid my subscription last week
to Claude.
For Claude. And what I'm doing at the moment, Ryan, I've written a couple of small books on family business.
Okay.
And one of them is called The 43, real, I guess to paraphrase, 43 issues families shouldn't do in business. And so I post it every Friday on LinkedIn because I'm not interested about where it goes. I just put in one every Friday. So I originally wrote every one of them. And then recently, so I'll go into Claude and I'll ask it the same question. Then I'll go into ChatGPT and ask it the same question. I'll get the two versions. I will reference it to my version and then I'll get an outcome. Yeah. And that's how I use it. I'm not interested in how it works. I'm interested in what it can do for me.
Yeah. Right? I think that's most of the population almost to the detriment of like, I don't care how it works and here's all my data. But other than that, it's
that's the issue.
That's the issue, yeah.
Just being aware. And I suppose we get a bit casual about the data.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything that I don't care anybody knows about. But
I think it's I think if people, I think there's a little bit of like, why do people care about my information is not that valuable. As an individual, it's the big businesses and big corporates where you're dropping data that you shouldn't drop. But so how do what's your? I'm curious as to, because I know Amir is teaching all of us so much, with AI, and I love what he's doing in that space. And education's become his marketing tool, which he does it so well. And I get his emails. I'm like, okay, cool. Like you said, time to change. But what do you use the AI for?
Well, I'll back slightly. So I've worked with Amir on the Geelong Authority. He's been on that for a while, and knew him slightly before that. So I've always been an Amir fan. I think he's got a great story, and he's worked hard to get to where he is. And he's just won the Australian
I saw that.
AI something or other, and he goes off to
AI for good or something.
And he's off to Geneva to compete on the world. I said to him, "Is this a family holiday? We're trying to work it out." He said, but he's chatting to him and how he uses AI practically in his business. So I just started dabbling with it in reformatting things, or and now I've moved to, if I want to put a document together, I'll brief Chat was, but now Claude, this is what I want to do. This is who you are. Give it you're now the purveyor of a business. Create me a business plan. Here's all the facts. Here's all the financials. Show me. And then it produces something. You still got to check it.
Yes. Yes.
But I find that really, and I've just, in a more a classic example, last week we're trying to arrange a family gathering on Kangaroo Island. And I've got daughter in Brisbane, son in Perth, son in Adelaide. So the Adelaide connection's easy. So I literally said to Claude, righto, you're the travel agent. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. I want a daily program. I want tourism. And it's produced a travel document. Now, the dates at the top were slightly wrong, which I found fascinating. But anyway, but everything else is spot on. Yeah. How to get there, the best way to get there, what to go and see, where to eat. Do you need a travel agent? And Amir put me onto this because he booked his travel and all the rest through Claude. But he's got it more integrated into his business. So I haven't moved to co-work. I think it's the next version of Claude, which I will do once I've read a bit more and watched a few more Amir's instructional videos, and then see how it can run things for me in the background. But I find it fascinating. I right down to my daughter shot me her CV and said, "What do you think of this?" And I just whacked it straight into Claude and said, "Here's the ad she's looking at. What do you think? Change it."
Yep.
And I sent her back the document. She went, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, I know.
But I always declare what I've done.
Yes.
So the joke in my family is he's got a new friend and it's called Claude.
I think it's definitely, as a, I'm a single operator, so to speak, from what I do with my business, and it definitely it saves me a lot of time.
Huge.
A lot of time. Like, I think it's just the amount of demand you have, like, posting on socials, creating content, all those little things. Even with this podcast, preparing for the podcast, post-podcast, everything, I use some sort of AI tool, which just saves me time that, like, otherwise these podcasts would take a lot more time for me as well. So it's super powerful, but me is definitely taken to a whole nother level, which is interesting. And
do you find businesses embracing it or not?
Yes, they are. I think from a simplistic sense, yes, like, clean up my email, all that stuff, and that automation stuff, which is great. And I think, but some people that are taking it a little bit more seriously, like once you start going into agentic style AI and creating your little agents that do things, it's amazing. And all it is, it seems like, you just give it a little precursor. And like, I've got my EOS content creation AI, and it's got access to certain things that, so I stay within this realm.
Yep.
And my EOS, just a practice management AI, which, so I'll look, this client, what rocks do they have due, and what, what's my next session, and et cetera, et cetera. And like, then I've got a couple of other people in this realm as well that just take you to the next level, where the emails are automatically being created. They just eyeball it and send it out. Like, it's getting there. But I think there's the biggest thing I'm seeing is that how quickly things change. ChatGPT was like, let's all do that like 6 months ago, and now it's like, oh no, I've got to go Claude. So it's like, and then you end up buying a subscription.
That's right.
And then Amir will come back in
because
like
it came back to me and said, "You've used up all that available data." Oh, damn it!
I know.
But we interviewed a gentleman called Fergal Coleman, and he has a business in Melbourne called Symphony 3, and it's an IT company, and they've revolutionised the way that councils around Victoria can do all their back end work.
Yeah, right.
And their customer interface and everything. In fact, not only Victoria, all over Australia, and it shows you what, I guess, people talk about productivity. It's the ultimate productivity tool, but somebody in my position, I'm not going to let it rule me. I'm going to use it to my advantage.
Yes.
That's really what it's going to be about.
You've got Alex Papley.
Yeah. Hypergen.
Hypergen. So he's spending a fair bit of time with Copilot.
That's right.
So getting people
Well,
up to speed on
he's
Copilot.
a Google expert, isn't he?
And Microsoft.
Yeah.
Or Microsoft, yeah. Microsoft.
Yeah, does amazing stuff what he does as well. And the fact that now Copilot has Claude plugged into it, like I'm kind of I've got a Copilot subscription.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad now that it's a bit more powerful than it was when I first started.
Yeah, it was pretty ordinary when it got going. But
it is.
it's good. No, to me, it's exciting.
But it'll never, in my opinion, it should never take over from face-to-face conversations, face-to-face meetings. I had a request the other day for one of the board meetings to do it online, and I sent a message back. Well, if you think we're going to do it online, I won't be there as the chair. Right? We're going to do it in a proper setting, and we're all going to be in the same room. And I guess some people will say, well, that's an old-fashioned point of view. No, it's not. It's because business is about people doing business with people.
Yeah.
And never forget it.
Just give me 30 seconds. If your business is serious about certification and trust, you need to check out ISO 365. They make ISO compliance simple, practical, and sustainable by building your ISO systems inside the Microsoft 365 tools you already use. No extra software, no hidden license fees, just real control and ownership of your compliance. I love the work that ISO 365 does because they don't just hand you templates and walk away. They become part of your team as virtual compliance officers, guiding you from gap assessment through to certification and long-term compliance. If you want compliance that actually works for your business and helps you win trust and new contracts, check out ISO 365. And now back to the show. I totally agree. I think even up to the point where I've got I had a prospect meeting last week. It was in Sydney. I'm like, I'll fly up. I'll see you. She's like, what do you mean? It's like, no, I want to see you because like you're about like when people invest and work with EOS, like it's a fair investment of time and money. Like doing a Teams and doing a Zoom meeting just doesn't cut it. Whereas we're in the same room, we get along. Okay, I can eyeballing each other. We know who we are. It makes a massive difference, and that's just one part of the journey. But even the sessions that I run are all in person. And it's the nuances, it's the body language, it's the shrugs.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's the body language, the connection.
Yeah.
You don't get that.
You don't get it when it's especially when it's like a filtered background and you're like, you can't see anything. You're like, it's just not the same. I totally agree. And that's why I think where hopefully the work we do will always be needed because you sort of always need that connection.
Well, one of my biggest costs at the moment is fuel costs.
Yeah.
Because I do that. I'll jump in the car and I'll come and see you.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to do it. And then you're obviously regional, right? So that's a fair drive.
Yeah. On the other flip side, I've just had a board meeting yesterday and one of the board members is travelling and he was in Malta and it was 2 a.m. in Malta. Wow. And he joined in.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to attend.
Yeah.
He did keep freezing every now and then, which was, internet connections that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
But it allowed him to participate and not lose connection. So, yeah, it's good.
I think it does. I think it can't be all remote, but yes.
But he would prefer to be in the room.
Of course, yes. That's good.
His second preference was not to be in the room, but to be present, hence the Zoom. So,
and look, gents, you're obviously, you're both on boards. You're, Bill, you do a lot of work in the mentor space, and there's advisory boards, and there's board of directors, and there's all these different sort of elements to how a business can get support and get guidance and governance. What's, from your opinion, when do people need what? Like, I think your one thing was like, what should people do if you ever went back is to get a mentor, right? Like that's your biggest advice. But I would love to hear what your take on a mentor is.
First of all, people don't know what they don't know, right, they'll say. And there's normally a tipping point that happens at work. Something goes belly up or they're out of frustration and they're talking to a mate or a colleague and someone says, oh, you should talk to such and such. That's really the most effective way. I could advertise till I'm blue in the face, but I wouldn't get anywhere.
The referrals are the beautiful thing. Yeah.
That's right. Now, mentoring, and the other interesting thing, of course, and we all put the label coach. Don't get me started on coaching, right? Because it's my analogy of a mentor is a golfer, a professional golfer. A professional golfer, and I did have some involvement in professional caddying many years ago, is a professional golfer has a coach and they have a caddy. The coach is skills-based, right? All about his swing, all about the techniques and all this. His caddy's his mentor because his caddy goes everywhere he or she goes, and the conversations they have outside of being on the golf course, he's sharing all the emotions that the golfer's got, and they're very emotional people. So the caddy's a prime example of what I believe a mentor is. You sit on the shoulder, or you stand beside the person that you're working with, and you just tap on the shoulder. No, that's not the right way. That's not the right. And then the other issue is, my favourite saying is old Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. Okay, if we're going to enter into this relationship, what's it look like at the end of this relationship? And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But and there's a complete separation between what I call a coach and a mentor. And as I say, I will declare that I don't like a lot of the coaching programs that are out there because it's out of a book. From a point of view of their training, it's not learned experience, whereas a mentor's got learned experience, and that's what they're sharing. So that's my subtle difference in that.
No, I appreciate that too, and I think I wear the three hats when I work with clients from an EOS point of view, and it's facilitator, teacher, and coach. But I must admit, for me, coaching is very much that. I'll only go down that path if it's a learned experience. If I have something I've come across in my career, I hate to teach theory from a coaching point of view because anyone can do that, right? We don't want to be doing that.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's at an individual level. So when a business, like you said, you're starting with a small psych group here in Geelong and creating that advisory board. When should a business sort of go, okay, yes, I think we've hit a ceiling, so to speak, or we've hit a tipping point, and we need a little bit of advice, but it's not quite an individual mentor thing. But I think that's where then the advisory board kind of plays a little bit of a role of like, where do we go with this business?
Yeah, advisory boards and Bill's place in this space a lot too and I was just thinking our monthly breakfasts have caused a few advisory boards probably to be started over the years. It's when the business is starting to grow and thinking about how they can become more professional and more corporate. It's what they don't know.
Yeah.
So bringing people in to help, and that'll evolve. So you might bring someone in to help you with your governance and your structures, and then you might bring someone in to help with your financials, or you might bring someone in that has a bit of marketing expertise. You'll still have the marketing, but as a group, you're starting to look at how that should operate in a more structured format to allow, if the business is going to grow, so that if you're going to sell it down the track, you can't have the individual in there because they're buying themselves a job if they're in there just running it.
Yeah.
Because when they go to sell it, well, what's the business worth if the owner is the person that does all the work?
Yes.
So it's where are they going? Start with the end in mind. Where do they want to end up to then elect? So it might just be, for some businesses, it's just having a mentor. But if the business is going to grow and get bigger and want to sell or float, for instance, then that's where an advisory board can come in to bring in some expertise that you wouldn't necessarily have. And it doesn't have to be a paid advisory board. It might just be people that come in to give you advice, purely advisory. They're not directors. They're not going to run the business. They're there to advise the owners of how they think the business should go. And we've seen that work quite well.
That's right. One of the key issues that I always focus on when I'm dealing with particularly private companies and family companies is your liability and responsibility as a director of a company. And this is a part that I play hard on the governance around you. And I always say on board meetings, we'll make decisions based on the fact that it protects you as a director individually first and then protects the business. But so then you do a bit of a mini skills gap analysis. So what haven't I got? And now of the three companies that I chair the boards, each of them has a virtual HR person.
Yeah.
Two of them have a virtual accounting person, and one of them has a virtual workplace health and safety person. So that's an advisory board. But so that skills matrix, if you can sit down with someone and say, well, and work out a skills matrix, well, hang on a minute, you are vulnerable in this area of your business. You know, and I've had people say to me, in workplace safety and all the rest of it, oh, well, I had one say, well, I used to be a lawyer. Well, so what? You know, it's like saying I've got 35 years experience, and facetiously I say, is that 1 year 30 times over, or is it really 30 years of experience?
I do like that one, actually,
Right?
yeah.
And
yeah.
it's an old saying, but it's so true. So the skills match, it's recognising what expertise you need or what knowledge you need around the table because you don't have it. And that's my rationale on
because I'm working with a business in Geelong, have done for years, and I chair as the advisor for the family business board. So the parents are the shareholders, son runs the business. So we meet, and they got me to come in and sit there so that they could have a discussion about the business and separate it away from the family.
Yeah.
Because lots of their conversations were the kitchen table, and then it can become a bit uncomfortable, or it can keep going. So by having a formal, documented minutes, agenda, reporting, nothing huge, but just financials, talk about where things are going, what's strategically going to happen, and that's morphed into having, they have a trust that owns the business. So the family trust, I now chair as an advisor their family trust, because that's where the emotional discussions can happen, where people, because it's who's going to get what and the inherit, right?
And I'm not there
to provide advice on that.
Yeah.
I'm just there to facilitate the discussion and then say, you need to go and talk to this family lawyer.
Yeah.
Here's a couple that I would suggest you chat to. I never recommend one. I might say, here's a couple that I know of. Go and have a chat to them, and they'll help you structure what you're doing. Because you, as an independent sitting on the outside, the emotion's not there.
No, that's it.
But as the family, the emotion's there, because that night they'll be having dinner together, or they'll, whatever. So, and it's they don't need any more than that, because they bring in who they need at times as the business grows. But if they were going to buy another 2 or 3 businesses to bolt on, then they'd grow that advisory board. So it's just horses for courses at the end of the day.
No, absolutely. And I think that I didn't respect the complexity of family businesses and that next generation conversations and what that looks like till I went to a local FBA, so Family Business Association event in Geelong. And we had Jacinta Begley, and we had Barry Fagg speaking, as well as the gentleman who was the GM at, I think, Cold Express or whatever it is in Laverton. And it was amazing to see that, obviously, Barry with coming to where he's at and what he's gone through, and then even Jacinta, and just trying to separate that, okay, this is business, but then this is family. And it's such a complex layer on top, isn't it? And this is where I find what you're doing amazing, Bill, because I think it's just, people don't realize that, it's that whole saying of it's just business, it doesn't cut it in a family business, especially when we talk about what's next generation, who's going to take on what, and it's not like trying to find another GM or another CEO or whatever it is. This is what's dad going to do, and okay, the daughter's coming up and doing this, and even Jacinta's story was amazing. Having her dad was in the crowd, and just seeing how much she thinks about it. It's just, I think it's fascinating, and I love the fact that the FBA is around to talk about that as well.
One of the issues, Ryan, that I've come across in the past is that family or private companies and family-owned partnerships and all this, they have what they think are board meetings, but all they're doing is sitting down and reviewing the past. It's a bit like Mark and I have been on government boards. I've been on a hospital board, and we're only talking about coming here today. How big's the board papers? 200 pages long. But it's 200 pages of what happened yesterday. Yeah. And that what I try and do with families is when we get into that room, it's think forward. And when they come off track, and it happened to me only a week ago, someone started talking about an employee in the business, and I said, stop, we're not having that discussion here. That's not what we're here for. Get yourself out of the dirt and bring yourself into strategy.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest transition for them to make. It really is hard. So you've got to be respectful of that.
And I think also just when do you stop talking about it?
Yeah.
You know, like obviously you've got the board meetings, which is good, and I think it's a good to have that space to come in and have that facilitate and have that shared. But like you're still going to go home and have dinner, right? And that's just, and you got to sit around the dinner table, and that was one of the things that was shared by the gentleman that was part of Cold Express was like, yeah, all their meetings happened at dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is, and then it's whole encompassing. But how do you handle, Bill? How do you handle those disagreements and when there is that conflict? Because I think that's, I mean, I see that I work with one family business, a husband and wife, and I remember the first session I had, and they just sit there and like they go at each other and like in with love, and I'm sitting there going like, I'm not getting paid enough for this, first law, but then they got it out, and it's like they still love each other, and it's back to business.
It's called rules of the game.
Yeah, all right.
You've got to write a charter for what you're doing.
Okay, good.
You've got to write a set of behaviours.
Yep.
And that's key. And I've been in a particular family meeting where all hell broke loose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then the instant I just had to let it go. But what I do with families now is that, and there'll be mum and dad maybe, or one elder parent, and the next generation there might be a couple of advisors on the board. Now, I'm committed that I go and meet separately with each of them, and I find out how do they tick, what do they think, and all the rest of it. And then I go back and talk to the parents and have a discussion, what do they think? And then the next step is, can I get them all together in the same room?
Yeah.
By having those previous conversations, I've got the lay of the land. I've sussed them out, right, rightly or wrongly. And then if somebody starts going off course on what the behaviours of the meeting should be, I just pull them back in. And sometimes, and I had recently, you have to be, probably the right word's assertive. Mm-hmm. I call it aggressive. With sometimes someone goes off track, you have to
bring them back.
You have to bring them back then and now, not after the meeting. With respect, you've got to do it. Yeah,
and it's because it's emotion and blood.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
it's that other element.
Exactly, it's a whole other layer, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know, having worked in some of the family businesses, there's always this desire that the next generation will take over, and the next generation sometimes go no, or they're not competent enough to do it, and that's hard because someone who's built a business up thinks they can hand it over, but if the generation isn't ready or couldn't do it, and what's the saying? It's the third generation that destroys it.
Yeah,
like
clogs the clogs, they call it.
Yeah, so that's the tricky bit. That recognition that there is no one within that family that's ready. So then what's the next step? Yeah. Do you sell the business, or do you put someone in to run it and you step out, hence the advisory board? So there's ways and means.
A word of advice to any aspiring CEO in a family business is don't be the first don't be the first CEO in a family business.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because you'll pay the price heavily until they understand what it's all about. But that's just the family. See, family businesses, I say, are run on emotion, and that's what you've got to deal with. And you talk about mentoring. You've got to, as I say, read the room, and you've got to understand everyone in that room is a different personality and has different ambitions. And the biggest issue in succession planning is that it's very unlikely the next generation don't want to go in the business. So what happens then? So. And if they do, then that's got to be very carefully planned out, of course. There's all sorts of legal issues and everything goes around it. But and the older person, you know, I look at myself, and fortunately my kids never wanted to come into my business. when I had the manufacturing company. But it's a case of I've seen parents say they just don't get it. They won't work as hard as I do, you know. They don't understand. They don't read the tea leaves and all this sort of comments you get. And my response to that is subtly, they're smarter than you because they live in a different world and they run businesses and they think totally different. They don't want the old ways. And if anything, if you hand over to them, the business probably be better off. Now, that's what's going through my mind when I hear all this.
Yeah, I do like the pre-work there in the sense of like speaking to everyone individually.
Really important.
You know, and I think that as a chair that is vital, right? Like to be in the room and know where everyone's at because, like you said, otherwise things can go sideways real quickly in those rooms.
Yeah, and never think you've got it right. It'll come back and bite you.
But it is fun. Like I was the first non-family CEO at Fags.
Yeah, right.
But it was fantastic. Both brothers were at a point, and there were other family members involved. They had a family board.
Yeah.
Which Keith and Barry's dad chaired. And the rest of the family members in different varieties were there sitting on that family board. But they didn't run the business. So the business was run separately. So then you sit down with Keith and Barry and talk through the business. But they'd reached the point where they knew that they had to look at succession in the business, and the best way was to bring in somebody from the outside.
Yeah, a separation, right?
And it was good. And it was hard, but it was good fun.
Yeah,
it was good doing it, but it takes a learning to be able to separate.
Absolutely. And look, I must admit, speaking of the Fag brothers and then I've got their book on the bookshelf there. That's such a amazing book.
I'm in there.
Are you? Oh, amazing. Yeah, like so that was at the FBA event. I caught up and I said, oh, here's a copy, and I was, and it's just such a great story. And then seeing some of the old handwritten notes and things like that, it's just amazing how long.
It's a great story.
It is an amazing story, and I think it's. I'm glad you guys got to capture that on your podcast as well. But it's look, I love having these kind of conversations, especially with I guess two amazing gentlemen like yourself who've been in the business world for so long, and I think it's really hard to narrow it down to one thing. But if there was one bit of advice you could give yourselves going back to your younger days, that would be very relevant to where people are in their business journeys today, what would that be? What would you do if you did?
That's easy. I would have had an advisory board. I'm true.
Actually, you have said that too.
Yeah. No, I was running a soft drink manufacturing company in Melbourne. On my own, and then I had a business partner, and then he wanted to get out, so that was amicable. And then I thought to myself at that stage, I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
And I actually went to my brother and said, give me $1. He said, what for? I said, I want to sell you half my business. And then that worked really well. But then it got to the stage where, and just before that, I was suffering from chronic migraines. Yeah. And they hung around. I had a bed next to my office out in the factory in Footscray because I knew in the morning when I woke up, I'm going to vomit sometime before 12 o'clock and I'm going to be out to it. That's how bad they were. And then I found the formula to get rid of migraines. You want to know what that was?
Yeah.
Sold the business.
Yeah.
So what did that tell you? Now, so that's why I made that flippant answer to your question. Advisory board.
Yeah. If
I had have done what I do now, I don't think I would have got to that. But then you could wish your life away. So, but that I'm honest that's a vital piece of.
And you
advice.
also mentioned a mentor, right? To get yourself a mentor as well, which I think that's so valuable, especially at that in that business leadership.
Well, I started my business at 22, and I knew it all.
Of course.
Right? So
nothing's changed.
Yeah. and I did have casual mentors. So
okay. Yeah.
I had the head of biggest soft drink company in Australia as my mentor, and I was running an opposition business.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious, what was the soft drink company that you ran?
It was called Western Bottlers. They were contract packers, but it was a pup out of my father's business in Geelong, which is well known, called Noddy Soft Drinks.
Yeah.
Right? So, and because I told the story, I came back to work, tried working with him and didn't work out, went and started my own. So it was a clone of that, but I turned it into a contract packing company.
Okay.
So I made, in those days, all the Safeway, Coles house brands.
Oh, yeah.
I contract packed other people's brands and did all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what that was.
That's it was the good old days. I like it.
Yeah, it was tough, but it was rewarding.
Mm.
Yeah.
And but it's made you who you are today, right?
Oh, yeah, of course it has. But if you look back and you talk about what should have been, could have been, is that, I was trying to do it all on my own. Yeah. And that's where we are today, isn't it? Why we do what we do.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Mark? What's...
one of our interviews, I'm trying to think who it was, used the words being brave. That they, in their business life, they took risk.
Sorry, Mark. The gentleman that started the Australian-wide volunteer software program where any company that was running a major event could dial in.
Escaped her. Anyway, based in Geelong. He used the term about being brave, that, how can an organisation in Geelong be running events for volunteers services worldwide? Like it does Super Bowls and all sorts of...
Oh, wow.
And because any organisation that needs volunteers to do things. So we asked him, and it was being brave. And it stuck in my head that, because if I think back, and I don't like to go back and think what if, but there were a couple of options in my life where if I'd have been slightly braver, I would have taken a different tack.
Yeah. And
that sliding door moment would have gone off in a different direction. But I have no regrets. But it's easier with hindsight to say, what if you'd have done that? One example, and it's a silly. I got a phone call one day in Sydney while I was working at Target to take a role at Hearns, which was a department store chain in Western Australia.
Okay.
Who were absorbed into David Jones, I think, and the rest is history. And it meant relocating to WA, and I thought about it, and the job was there. We want you. And I had a good career at Target, and I could see where I was heading. So I said no. And 18 months later, that business shut and folded, and it was a family business, and it ended up being picked up by David Jones and became very, very messy. But I often wonder, had I taken that leap, would it have had a different outcome?
Yeah.
But it was a family business. That was what was interesting, is how would that have worked, that dynamic have worked. So that be brave a bit. But on the other hand, I didn't, and I've been good at what I've done, and I've enjoyed what I've done, and I'm happy with what I've done. So I don't think you can go back. I don't think you can have regrets. I think
that's what I said before.
No regrets.
Think forward.
Yeah,
you have
always
to.
Look forward.
Otherwise, you'll end up in a mess.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I'm not. I've only been in business for so many years, or a couple of decades, so to speak. But for me, it's. I think everything. I look back and everything that I've done has just got me where I'm here today, and I'm super grateful for where I am today. Just even to host podcasts, I would have never thought in my 20s I'd be doing podcasts and doing what I'm doing today in business. Honestly, when I started, I thought I was going to be in IT for the rest of my life, because back then that was it, right? You started a career and that's where you were. And so it's amazing where life takes you. And I think I like that. Be brave. I think it's sometimes taking that step into the unknown, isn't it? That really gets you out of the comfort zone.
And I think I followed it to a degree, because I have jumped jobs. And I've had some great experiences. I mean, I ran South Melbourne Market for a period.
Oh, did you?
Which was fantastic.
Yeah.
A great place.
Great dim sims too.
Great dim sims. But that was just through, someone reaching out and saying,
really?
we've got a vacancy. We need someone interim. Are you around? Can you? Yeah, I'll come and do that for a while.
That's awesome.
So there's been things like that have opened my eyes to different things. And at the end, it's about the people and leadership. It doesn't matter what you're running. When you're running as a CEO or executive officer or a MD, it's about the people and leadership. You don't have to have the technical smarts. You just make sure you have the smart people around you.
Yeah, that is so true, isn't it? I think if you go into training feeling like you need to be have all the answers, then that's the worst thing you can do.
Ryan, one of the other key issues that I always encourage people now is to give back.
Yeah.
Right? To volunteer for something and don't be 100% self-centered, but actually go and give back to somewhere, somehow. It's really important. And give back to an area that maybe you might feel uncomfortable in. Challenge yourself. Just an aside to that, we often have people come to us and say, I want to get on a board. Tell me how I can get on a board. Right? And it's probably, in all fairness, sometimes I think, oh, God, why are you asking that? But my rule is get on it. Then don't, the other thing is, do you know a not-for-profit I can get on? And I say to people, why do you want to get a not-for-profit? Oh, that's so I can start there. I said, and my answer is, well, if I was an executive in that not-for-profit and I had board members that wanted to be on that not-for-profit because they wanted to learn, how's my organisation going to learn? So don't use a charity board as a learning curve. Use it as that you can give something back to it.
Yeah.
So, and go and do a course in company directors or whatever you do, and there's plenty of those around now. There's not just the AICD. There's lots of others. Or get on a school committee. Get on a sporting club committee. Get on some of these outer areas where you'll start to learn about what happens and all the vagaries of being on boards. But so when they come to me and say, well, and that's the advice I give: go and join a local sporting club. Go and do this, and work your way up step by step. You're not just going to walk into a board unless you are seen to have the skills required to do it. And if you do go on a board and you're not competent, you're doing the board a disservice.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, isn't it?
Yeah. That's right.
No. And I mean, speaking of AICD, and I think you're part of that community as well, and a graduate of it. How valuable is going down that journey? Because I mean, it's something I've considered, and something I'll probably want to do in the next few years, purely because while things settle down, I'm a bit busy with a few things at the moment. But yeah, how has that changed things for you?
I've really enjoyed it. So I did the company directors course some years ago now, but I've kept up with other webinars and things that are going on. I've got involved in the Barwon Southwest Regional Committee for the AICD, which the AICD set these up some years ago, and then with COVID, the whole thing disbanded. And we used to have our own Geelong committee, and then there used to be Ballarat and Bendigo, and now they've pulled them together a bit more, so there's not as many. So we look from Geelong all the way down to really Portland and beyond.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that gets a bit hard because there are people that are members of the AICD scattered all down the coast, and you can't just keep holding events in Geelong.
Yeah.
So we've held one event in Warrnambool. We're going to hold others. So we're working to do that. But I love the interconnection and the networking and the meeting other folk with similar aspirations or that are on different boards, and the different issues and similarities that come up. The AICD I find really good. I go to their annual conference it's been in Sydney for the last 3 years. It's a good 2 days conference. It's expensive, but I get value out of it, so I see it as good value.
Yeah.
The company directors course, again, is expensive, but there are grants, there are scholarships, so you can apply. They regularly do that.
Okay.
Somebody we did on a podcast, she just won a scholarship.
She's got a scholarship for the not-for-profit company directors course.
Oh, awesome.
So there's quite a few of those that come up. And depending on the size of the organisation, boards will pay or half pay for you to do the course.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd strongly recommend. I mean, I'd push the ROCD one, but as Bill says, there are other company director courses. But it's important that you understand some of the vagaries and understands what governance is, what the rules are, how, depending on where you are and what organisation, because there's the Australian Charities, ACNC or whatever, which looks after charities, not-for-profits. Well, what's that mean? You know, just because you're suddenly sitting on a board of a charity, a not-for-profit, there are rules and regulations. You are accountable as a director. Do you understand what that means? And I think so that having that more structured study is really important. So you understand what should happen, what shouldn't happen, the way things should operate. And that's really important. So
and Mark, you know, I always say they shouldn't be called not-for-profits.
They shouldn't be called.
Because they've got to make a damn profit to survive.
They've got to be for purpose.
For purpose.
For purpose. Yeah. But there's, you know, it's a good organisation. That's it. There's lots of, and the RCD provides, if you're a capital city person, then they have their own offices where you can go and use meeting rooms. And so it works when you're Geelong based and it's in Melbourne. But then if I'm up in Melbourne, I will use it. I will duck in and it's because I know I can go in there and I can sit down and there's a good coffee and there's a place I can sit. And so it has I've been a member for, I hate to think how long. Yeah. But I find it really valuable. I think I looked at, there's an organisation, the advisory board organiser. I looked at getting involved with them. But then I thought, hang on, I'm splitting.
Your time
and it's similar.
Yeah, okay.
But I think you should do something.
I totally agree. Yeah.
I think, and yeah, I do get people ask me that they're on board. What training can I get and how do I do it? I'll always push the ROCD, but it is an expensive course.
Yeah, no, I was definitely looking into it. And I think you can do it over 4 or 5 days, so it's a time commitment thing as well.
It's a time commitment. You get, and they do different versions. They do it, 1 day a week for 5 weeks, or I did the whole
1 week.
1 week.
Yeah,
I'd recommend that because that just puts you in. You're all working together. You get it knocked over, and off you go.
Yeah, Mark, when I did it, which was a long time ago, I did it. It was every Monday night for some 8 weeks or something.
Yeah, there's different versions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But it gives you connections again.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's like everything in life. You get back with what you put into it, right? Like, so I mean, cost aside, it sounds like you've committed into it, which makes a massive difference. Yeah,
and some of the events, like 2 weeks ago, there was the Victoria's biggest boardroom lunch. So they create a fake board and have a brief of these issues and different board members and lots of really respected people. In fact, John Hart was was one of the characters in this last one, and they play out a role play, a board scenario. It's humorous, it's thought provoking, you learn, but it's really interesting, those sorts of things. And if you weren't part of that organisation, you wouldn't be exposed to it. So there was probably 300 people in the room.
Oh, wow. That is a big lunch.
And it's a big lunch. And it was really good. It was really well put together. So there's coming up, there's an online seminar on working in the Indigenous space. So you log in and sit there and listen and learn. Yeah. So it's all those bits that are really important. So, and AI, the AICD's writing a whole heap of briefing papers on how boards should deal with AI and the governance around AI. Right down, even this biggest lunch, it was quite funny at the start. They said, and we've got our AI director who's done a synopsis for us, and this voice came in and said, I've worked out that, but it was just making you think, where's this heading?
I know.
Because there's lots of talk about, will you end up with an AI director sitting at your board table to question what's going on?
But Ryan, in conjunction with that, I'm a great believer in short courses.
Yep.
Right, and I do it. I do watch a lot of webinars, that one with Fee Mercer the other day, for instance, I
it's
sent
good.
you.
Yep,
Oh,
it's
Yeah,
good.
I watch that all the time.
Yep.
I do one every Friday. I got half an hour on the latest court decisions out of Fair Work, out of the court at Fair Work, and that keeps me up to breast on OH&S issues and workplace issues and bullying and all those, because it's changing.
Yeah.
And as a director, you can't get. How do you keep up with all
Got
of
to
this?
keep up.
The Fair Work. That over 60%. I read the other day, I think it was on Fee's sheet, of cases at Fair Work are for psychological hazard.
Yeah, wow.
Now,
Over 50%.
yeah,
Wow.
if I can find the slide, I'll send it to you. But I've been called to Fair Work twice in the last 18 months as a witness, and it's all about bullying each occasion. And now, as a director of a company, that this whole psychological hazard part of the Fair Work has got in New South Wales now got jail terms attached to it, and you've got to be abreast of it. Now, you can't go off and do a long course on that, but you pick the eyes out of some legal companies or some other areas of expertise that you can watch on the internet, and there's about 3 or 4 every week that I watch, and you don't have to watch them at a set time. You can park them, go back at night and watch them and do it. Now, I get more out of that than I would out of doing a course now in my position.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, I saw some statistics the other day. I think Fair Work have now been inundated with claims because people are using AI to write their claims.
Oh, gosh.
So it's easy to just go in and say,
yeah.
and I think it's doubled or something. It's
Really?
unbelievable that it's stuffing up the system.
Yeah.
So brave new world.
As a director if I was a director of a company, and I won't be anymore, except my own little consultancy, the two things that would worry me most are employment law and workplace safety. They're the two issues that I'd be absolutely paranoid about.
I think it's often ignored as well, those two.
It has been,
Yeah.
but we will see someone jailed in Victoria for manslaughter in the workplace, and possibly through no real fault of their own, and that'll send a bombshell through your liabilities and responsibilities. Anyway,
Lots to be abreast of, and look, I like that tip of being across. And I must admit, you mentioned Fee Mercer, and that's a blast from my past. I used to look after her and her partner's IT back in the day, and I was like, Fee Mercer, I haven't heard that name for a long time, but she's doing a lot of stuff in the governance space now.
Yeah,
isn't she?
that's right. Yeah.
Now,
Converge, I think it's called now. Anyway, don't worry.
so, now look, Bill, you mentioned you got another 14 years ahead of you. What's
well, I'm only in the second half of my life. That means I've got my second half finishes when I'm 100.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So it's 20 years ahead of you.
Yeah, that's right.
What's next for the two of you? What's the next few years look like? What do you
keep doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I've taken up rowing again after an absence of 50 years.
Wow.
I will, and the Masters Games were in Perth last week, and some people from Geelong, actually, Corio Bay, picked up quite a few medals, which was good.
Yeah.
But keep fit, and of course, I'm going through that stage in life where I'm reliving my own children through my grandchildren.
Yeah.
So I'm sport all over the place. But I believe I can keep doing what I'm doing from a business point of view, and I've started writing and doing all sorts of things until I can't function properly. That's my aim. Because if you don't keep the brain fed, right, you're just going to turn into nothing.
Yeah.
So there's, but the answer to your question is you don't know. You don't know what's next. Yeah, we'll just wait and see. But at the moment, family business. That's it.
I love it, Mark. I love that you have the passion for it too, and you're adding so much value. Mark, how about yourself?
I'll probably continue doing what I'm doing. I enjoy the board work. A number of times I think I'll apply for another one and then I back off. I think, no, I want to concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm on the Gorkappa board for another 3 years. It was a 5-year term. So that sort of covers that. The Geelong Authority my term comes to an end this June. The authority will keep going. Whether I'll be asked to continue, I don't know. So we'll wait and see with that. I've enjoyed that bit, so I might look for something else. If the Geelong Authority moves off, I'll look for something else to fill that gap. And I'm on the Benefit Geelong, which is the Bendigo Bank's organisation for handing out grants. So I enjoy that because that gets me into all sorts. Like we've given money to Lazarus House, and
awesome.
I'll be out there next Friday. So that's good fun doing that sort of thing, and I enjoy just quietly working with a couple of the family groups that I'm sort of involved in, but I'm not actively chasing more. I tend to want to do more travel. I've got a kid in Perth, one in Adelaide, one in Brisbane, so that's quite a nice little circuit to go down. We did that in February. We'll probably do that later in the year again. And I'd like to do a bit more overseas, but, given the vagaries over in the Middle East, probably a bit more around Asia.
Yep.
But I like reading, as in Bill was a big webinar. I watch a little bit of webinars. I've started to get back into reading. I used to read a lot. I know Bill reads an enormous amount, but I'd like to get back into reading. I'm comfortable where I am. I just don't want to stop.
No, that's it. I think it's it's a common conversation I've had in the podcast as well. It's like I don't think I ever want to stop either. I love this and doing all this stuff, and I'm sort of in my mid-40s, and I think if I'm at hitting 80 and I'm still doing this kind of stuff, I'll be very, very, happy about that.
The other adjunct to that is you've got to stay healthy.
Yes,
Got to stay healthy.
And, I've had some major hiccups, but as soon as you get over that, you pick yourself up and you say, well, there's a million people worse off than lying in hospital than me. Get up, and tomorrow's another day.
Yep, get on.
You just have to do that.
You do.
Yeah.
And keep the brain ticking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. As I think people always say that you go into retirement, you stop doing, and that's like almost sometimes the worst thing you can do.
You hear the stories of people that have been high-pressure jobs, retire, stop, don't know what to do and die.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I even talked about Keith Fagg before. Keith has been chasing me for about 3 years to go to join Rotary. Well, I was a member of Footscray Rotary 30 years ago, and then went to Albert Park and then gave it away for a long time. And you can't escape Keith's persistence. So I've rejoined the Cardinia Rotary, and they're doing some great things. Yeah. And it's you do as much as you like to do and what you're capable of doing. But little things like standing down on the ocean trek at a refreshment statement down at Bells Beach or something for a day, where else would you do that? And, it's just, it's something different.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing something different.
That's so true.
The other one, because Rotary gets paid to man these things, the other one was standing at the start line of the Cadell Evans race as one of the marshals. Yeah. Well, where else would you see all that?
Oh, no. That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, there's
Plenty to do.
There are plenty of options available.
No, it's look, it's been amazing speaking to you both, Bill and Mark, and I think if anyone's listening to this and want to hear a bit more about Bill and Mark, is definitely go to True Business Stories, obviously on Spotify and a few other platforms there. And from a connection point of view, I'm assuming through LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect with both of you.
Yep, exactly.
Easy on LinkedIn.
Yeah, excellent. And look, it's I really enjoyed it, and I must admit, I'm sitting here going, there's a bunch of different things I wish we went deep on. Definitely Geelong Authority, Big Blind Family Business, but I think it's been great to speak to you both, and appreciate you taking some time out of your day.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah,
my welcome. You're welcome.
And good luck with your videos. I haven't seen them all, but I know they pop up every now and again on my system. And last time I just went back and had a quick look and see who you've interviewed in the past.
That's it. And look,
Yeah.
I think I told you before we started the show, I prepared for Mark Neal's podcast by listening to your podcast. So
There you go.
it's one of those things. It's just
Did we copyright that one?
I didn't quote too much out of it. No, it was good. I think it was, and I like the formula you guys do, the whole, where do you go to school and things like that. Because I think sometimes, even especially Mark Neal's one, which I listened to more recently, it was amazing to hear where you went to school and the differences and the forms and the year levels and how Geelong's changed. So every episode you do, and if it's someone from Geelong and they've been here for a while, the historical stuff's in there that's sprinkled through is beautiful. So if you do yourself a favor, definitely have a listen to 250-ish episodes of that, which is amazing.
And even I've forgotten a lot of the old ones. I went through them the other day looking at the list.
We should go
Yeah,
back.
that's right. And there's I've spoken to Fee about doing another one with her. It's probably 2 years. And to our Cody in the Philippines that set up this amazing call centre.
Yeah, right.
He's got thousands of people working. He went up there as a missionary and is now running this call centre, and he's running them on behalf of companies all over the world.
Yeah.
Started in Ballarat as a student there.
That's unreal.
Anyway,
Good stuff.
Amazing
go
stories.
and listen to our podcast. Righto.
Gents, thanks so much. And
Thank you.
thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
you.